There are few brands that I can think of that I would say, I love your brand. I think that what you guys stand for is courageous, it's amazing, and it is destined to make the world a better place. So how did it come about?
Thank you for those kind words. One of the reasons I think people love the Angel brand is because I'm not the Angel brand. The Angel brand is the people, as you saw in that introductory video. The number is a little out of date. There's now 430,000 members of the Angel Guild who vote on what we take to market. And so the people are deciding what matters most to them, and so the Angel brand represents them. It not only represents them because of the fact that they have the green light power, but it also represents them because when we were a very young company, we were sued by Disney and Warner Brothers, and 8,000 families invested over $10 million in 5 days to help us survive that lawsuit and to start a studio to compete directly with Hollywood. And we renamed the company Angel after them because they're the angel investors. They're the reason that we were able to survive that battle. So I love that you say that, and our hope and mission will be that one day Angel will be the most trusted brand because it represents the will of the people.
I have so many questions about your upbringing, about the company, about Dry Bar, which I love, about the fact that you are located in Provo, and I learned the concept Provo Clean, which I love. So, tell me about the Guild. How does the Guild work?
Great question. So if anyone wants to download the Angel app, you can download it, and there's a button for the Guild, and you can join the Guild. And the Guild members receive videos, concept videos, films, TV episodes. Last year, they received 900 submissions from over 700 filmmakers, and they voted on those. Now, every Guild member didn't vote on every submission. You get a sample, and it's a really fun process because you get to see all these filmmakers who are up and coming bring their work and see how they're doing, and it's really inspiring to see a lot of their work. And then you can also give them feedback as a Guild member, and then you vote on whether the story amplifies light. There's actually we've got a slide here on light and what the definition of light is at Angel. I mentioned this yesterday, but light is defined by all of you as Guild members, but the words that we use that are spiritual principles are true, honest, noble, just, authentic, lovely, admirable, and excellent. And that's what Angel is becoming known for because the Guild members, they watch these titles and they vote on whether it amplifies light. And then they give feedback to the filmmaker to help the filmmaker improve. And that's how the Guild works.
I mean, it feels like, and you've talked about this, that in Hollywood there are basically a few people who decide what you and I want to watch or what we should watch. And you have given that power to the consumer. But an argument that some people have made is that, well, your company is a faith-based organization. And being a faith-based organization, there are only certain content that you're willing to ever bring to the theaters or streaming. What's your response to that?
Our response is these principles are universal, and we are definitely faith-friendly. So our very first show was Dry Bar Comedy, which is comedy that's funny for everyone. As you said, it's Provo Clean. And it's the largest collection of stand-up comedy in the world. And for example, just 2 weekends ago, Adam Carolla went and he performed at Dry Bar. Yeah. He's not a believer. He doesn't have a faith act. Dry Bar is not a faith show. but it is funny for everyone.
Yeah.
And if you actually look at the titles that we have, it's a minority that are faith, but we are very, very faith-friendly, and we should be, because HarrisX did a study last year where they surveyed the global entertainment audience and asked them, what do they see most in their media? What do they see most present? And what do they most desire? And there's a big gap between what they see in their media when it comes to faith, inspiration, hope, religion, and what they actually desire.
Yeah.
And it's over 80% of the global entertainment audience that wants, that their faith is important to them. And so naturally, if we give the Guild from 150 countries the green light authority, there's going to be more faith content that's part of our storytelling than there is in other studios. We're going to be more faith-friendly because we represent the people.
By the way, I love the fact that you're faith-friendly, or even more than just friendly. Because, I mean, the fact is, I feel like we have tried the alternative. And the alternative has been, I mean, how much violence on TV is enough, or on the screen is enough? How much sexual content is enough? How much profanity is enough? And it feels like Hollywood feels like they have to keep pushing the envelope. Same thing with music. You know, where does it end? And you listen to music from 40 years ago, 30 years ago, it's fundamentally different. But it seems like there is almost a bit of a competition of how we can have even more of a wow factor. And so even though I do hear that, I feel like that's a great differentiator for you guys. But do you feel that that can, in a sense, limit the size of the opportunity for Angel?
No, because you can't find another vertical that has more universality through this world than faith. So, I mean, to find anything else that across all the markets in the world that over 80% of people say this is one of the most important things to them.
Yeah.
Well, maybe family, right?
Right.
Family would be like the universal uniting element of humanity. But this is mainstream. Yeah. And it's the fact that there are very few people living in a bubble who have a different lifestyle than most families throughout the world that have been making these decisions that have made us feel like faith is marginal or faith isn't part of regular life. And it's made us feel like our faith, bringing our faith into our workplace, feels awkward. Mm-hmm. It's because the storytelling sets the values and the vision for the generations to come. That's a quote from Steve Jobs. So storytelling, the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. And the stories that have been told are teaching us to think that we are in the margins if we believe. But we're not. We are mainstream. And so that's exciting for us to have the chance with the confluence of technology and other factors right now that have opened the door for studios like Wayfarer Studios and Angel Studios, and I understand that you're working on a project as well for all of us to come together and start solving this problem in a way that serves the global audience better than Hollywood has now. They've become more narrow in the way that they view the world than the world views it themselves.
You know, it's funny. I'm a pilot, and a lot.
So is my wife.
So is what?
My wife is a pilot. Oh,
really?
Too, yeah.
Awesome. And you know how do you know there's a pilot in the room? They'll tell you. Anyhow, but no, the reason I bring that up is because, you know, they say that, a surgeon, a pilot never thinks they can be a surgeon, but a surgeon feels they can be a pilot. And the reason I bring that up is because I have no business being in the movie business, but we are making a movie. So let's see how it will turn out. We're really excited, and actually, in the next couple of days, I'll be going to Athens, where we are
I totally
filming.
disagree with you, by the way.
We'll
have every bit of business being in them. Like, storytelling is as old as time, part of humanity, and for you to take the resources and the abilities you've been given and the connections you've been given and put that into a story that matters, yes, please.
Well,
Let's
I'm
have
excited.
more people do that.
Thanks. Well, I'm excited about it, and luckily, it is not me doing the artistic work. so that's a good thing. We have the right people that are doing that part of it. So, when I watched Sound of Freedom, it's a difficult story. I mean, emotionally, it's a difficult story to tell. But you've done a great job of sharing that story without, in a sense, putting extreme violence on the screen. Now, it's kind of like our brains are, I guess, we are creative enough to be able to fill in the gap. We don't need to see everything to know that it happened. But is there ever any artistic, I guess, tension when you make your movies, when you produce your content, to push the envelope a little bit outside of your values?
There's definitely tension. And you make a really good point that Alejandro Monteverde and Eduardo Verástegui, they did an excellent job of portraying a deeply disturbing topic that there are many people I've met here who are involved in fighting trafficking, and do it in a way that is respectful. Not only did they do it in a way that's respectful, but I heard from behind the scenes on how they shot the film to protect the children who were involved as actors, and just really respect them for what they did and how they pulled that off. And now that story has risen awareness around the world about trafficking, and we've had nonprofits reach out to us and say that they've seen the cost on Facebook or Meta or Instagram or YouTube to go get someone to act and help them in their nonprofit plummeted after Sound of Freedom's awareness built. And we saw laws passed. That's a film that didn't get out for many years. It was originally owned by Fox, and then Disney acquired Fox, and they didn't release the film because they didn't feel like it fit the brand. And it's an uncomfortable film, and it does push boundaries. It does it in a respectful way, but they did it in such a way that the Guild said, absolutely, we should be getting this film out to the world. And it's blessed many nonprofits, and it's blessed the movement tremendously for that film to get out.
Yeah.
So I would say that right now, when you look at the history of what Angel's been releasing, like there's a story, Sound of Hope, is about 22 black families from Texas who saved 77 children from the foster care system. Sight is about a Chinese man who left communist China, came to the United States, and learned to become an eye doctor, and invented a procedure that saved millions of people's eyesight. Sound of Freedom is a Latin American story. There's just so much diversity in the stories that are coming to Angel, and the boundaries that they're pushing on what you would think you would do in a film that you take to theaters. Right now, the formula for theaters is big, flashy, Marvel superhero, and right now people are having a hard time figuring it out post-COVID, and so yes, I mean, stories are about making us uncomfortable, but they can make us uncomfortable without being gratuitous, without pushing on moral boundaries that make it so that the film can't reach as many people.
Yeah. So, in full disclosure, One Planet is a small investor in Angel, very small. And I'm grateful that we had the opportunity to, to participate and be a small investor. And then I had a chance to go and visit Neal in his office in Provo. And when you gave me a tour, one of the things that you showed me was where Dry Bar is filmed, and in Utah, it's not easy to get licensed for alcohol. And the building that you got had a license for alcohol, which you gave up.
Yeah.
And the whole value of what you had paid was basically a license. And you gave up what was the value, but you wanted that building. But tell us about Dry Bar.
You bet. So Dry Bar Comedy is, our tagline is funny for everyone. We've invited over 700 comedians to come to Utah. They perform in front of a live audience, and the guild members vote on whether or not they do a good enough job to be published online. About 2/3 of them are published online, and Dry Bar's it's got over 5.6 billion views now. It's the largest collection of stand-up comedy in the world, and it's really fun. Yeah.
Amazing. I got to tell you, recently we went to a comedy show, and I took my in-laws, my dad, and a few other people, and the amount of profanity, I felt like I needed to take a shower afterwards. And this is, I think, the amazing work that you do, that you're able to do it at scale, but there's still naysayers, that they feel like, well, but, they're in Utah, and, well, it's got to be his church. And, but you're doing it at scale. At some point, I think those arguments are not enough. I think what you're doing is what a big chunk of the world, the population in the US, wants, but there are not a whole lot of alternatives. And you're proving that. But I want to know a little bit more about what drives you, your value system. Where does it come from, and why are you on this path?
So I would go back to family. And the family I was given, the family that I came to, there was this wonderful poem that was written by, I forget her name. I'm sorry that I forgot your name, but she recited this poem. Radiance?
Oh, you're talking about our poet.
Yes, your poet
Radiance.
here. She talked about the lotto. I was given an amazing chance in life because I was born to two parents who love each other, are still together today. They went through a lot. My dad lost his farm when I was 5. I mentioned that, and not through no fault of his own. And my mother, when I was young, I had a really bad experience at school. Didn't want to go to school, and she says, "Fine, don't go to school." And so I went home and I just played. I built rafts, tree houses. I floated the canals, and then she would just gently nudge me and say, "Hey, have you considered reading this book or this book?" And one day she got me to read, it was either one of the C.S. Lewis series or it was the Bronze Bow, but she got me to read a book, and I read that thing cover to cover in one day. And then the next day I read another book cover to cover. The next day another one, and then another. And after a week of this, I thought I hated school. I thought I hated learning, but this is amazing. I'm seeing a whole new world open up to me. And my father, when I was 11 years old, because we had lost our farm and we struggled a lot financially as a family, I had thought, what can I do to help my family get out of these circumstances? And the only thing I knew there in Idaho was either farming, which it took a lot of money. It was like I had gone and asked the farmers how much to buy an acre of land at the time. And at the time, it was like $800 to buy an acre of land in Idaho. But I didn't have that much money. So I thought, well, I can't do that. There's also cattle, right? I could buy a cow. Yeah. I could milk the cow. I could earn money off the cow. The cow could have a baby. Maybe the cow will have twins. And maybe both those twins will be heifers. And then I will be able to have more cows. So I saved up an entire summer, knowing that a heifer calf cost $150 at the time. I could come up with $150 after paying something to my savings and to tithe to God. I could come up with that much money. So I worked all summer in the hot sun, hoeing beets, and then by the end of the summer, I had calculated exactly what I needed to do to get to $150. I got to the end of the summer. I had earned $150 for my spending. I went to buy the cow from a local dairyman, and he said, the price of heifers has gone up to $175. And I was devastated. And I walked back to my dad's van where he was waiting for me, and I just said, I don't have enough money to buy this calf. And he gave me $25. And so I went back, and I bought that first calf. And those were the parents that I was given. Yeah. And the experiences that I had that played into this. I'm gonna follow this thread for a second, if it's okay with you.
Yeah, please.
I later married Tricia Peterson, and she is a pilot. She loves to skydive. She broke her leg the very first time she went skiing. She just went straight down the hill, not even knowing how she would stop, and then she broke a bone at the very end of the run. She was just having the blast, and then she realized at the end, I don't know how to stop. And then she, but this is the kind of risk-taking she loves to do. And so when we got married, and I was headed to do a PhD, I had this inkling that I wanted to see if I could be an entrepreneur. And I shared this with her, and she said, let's go for it. And we worked at it for many years, 7 years, and we failed on the first business that we did and got into debt to a level that it took, we thought it was going to take 15 years to get out of debt. We ended up, through lots of miracles, getting out of debt in 7 years. But after that experience, she was like, yeah, let's do it again. And then more recently, I went through a terrible trial at Angel. And I said to her, because I have two brothers that work at Angel as well, and I'm expecting my youngest brother to take over for me when I'm done. And I said to Tricia, this is too hard on our family. This is too much. I'm asking too much of all of you and of our children with the level of stress that we're going through as a family because of this business and all the opposition that we face. We went to the local temple together to pray, and afterwards, I had asked her, is it time for me to turn the reins over to my brother? And we got done praying, and then she looked at me and she said, Neal, this is a pretty good way to wear out your life in service. And she was right. So my parents, my spouse, and then the inspiration for starting the company came through our oldest son, Michael, when he was 9. And I wanted to teach him the principle of honesty. And I wanted to show him the movie Cinderella Man. And in that movie, this is Russell Crowe playing a boxer in the Roaring '20s, and then losing everything he has in the Great Depression. And his son is very worried about their family starving, and he goes and steals the salami from the butcher. And Dad gets home from working temporary labor on the docks and finds out that his son had stolen the salami. They walk the salami back to the butcher's shop. They return it, come out on the streets of the city in New York, and Jim Braddock, played by Russell Crowe, gets down on his knees, looks his son in the eye, and said, "Son, we don't steal." And that moment was worth I wanted him to experience that. And so I thought, but I don't, he's 9 and he takes everything in, like he's like a sponge. His mind's so smart. He just takes everything in that he encounters. And the coach in that film and some of the boxing. I'm just like, I don't want him acting that stuff out here in the house. And so I went and programmed some technology to go and skip over the bloodiest hits, and then to mute the language we didn't want him repeating with his sisters. And we watched that film all together as a family. Yeah. And then we talked about honesty. That was the beginning. Yeah. That was something where we were trying to solve a problem for my family, and that eventually
ended up in a lawsuit.
Yes, it did. But I just wanted to point out that I feel like that family is at the center of our spirituality and of the reason for why we do business. And that's the case for me, and I wouldn't be able to do it if it weren't for my own children, for Trisha, and for my parents.
Awesome. I'm going to do 2 rapid-fire questions because we're almost out of time. And 2 questions we'll take from the audience, so if you want to think about your questions. I loved your offices when I came to your offices. And the fact that, many of you know that how I believe that working remotely is not going to be conducive to building culture. I fundamentally believe that. And when I walked into your office, there was a buzz that I had not felt for so long. These days, you go to Silicon Valley offices, they feel like it's half dead. The companies, and you go like, what happened to your culture? Well, we are more productive at home. And we have given up that community that really meant a lot, I think. And you have done an amazing job building that community as a part of your company. And then I remember I met your brothers. And so in my mind, I built a company with my brother before, and I was very eager to see how as brothers, you make sure you get along while you're building a business. But more important than that, you have 10 children. Do you know all the names? Can you say them all quickly?
Yes, I can. Michael, Rachel, Lily, Talise, Haley, Elijah, Ruth, Caleb, Faith, who's passed away, and Oliver.
Oh, wow. Great job. I have 2 girls, and my wife and I, we have 2 daughters, and
I get them confused.
I get them. We get them confused all the time. So, all right. Before I ask my last question, are there any questions from the audience? All right. Well, I'm going to go to my wife first. Sorry. Guya, go ahead. Oh, there's.
So I have a question. Some people will say that you have to work with Hollywood and give them the broccoli with the chocolate. Do you know what I mean? That you have to use the chocolate and sprinkle some broccoli in there. So what's your take? What do you say to that?
So the reason that I did what I did is because I just fundamentally disagree with that premise, and I think that a family should have the ultimate say on what is seen in their home. When it comes to the Guild, and I think that the broken part of Hollywood is in the gatekeeper model, where a few elite people are making the decisions. It's not the storytelling capability that community has built. Like the community around storytelling is like one of the greatest communities that's ever been built in the history of the world. And in fact, a lot of those filmmakers and creators would be happy to do stories that align more with what most of the world wants, as long as it's a high level of craft. And so we're very specific at Angel about saying we're replacing the gatekeepers with the audience, with the Angel Guild. But we work with the Actors Guild. We screened at the Directors Guild. We screened one of our premieres. Like, we're working with the agencies inside of Hollywood. We're just replacing the top with the people, and we're getting better decisions. If you'll show the slide, this is the result of the people deciding what they want. Angel is the highest rated distributor in the world. And yeah. this is the audience score. The critics score is all over the board for us and for everyone else, but the critics score actually doesn't at all correlate with the success of projects. This correlates with the success of projects. It also correlates with what the audience wants most. So I just fundamentally think that that the greatest stories and brands of the recent storytelling era, Pixar, even Marvel, they had guardrails on the kind of content that they were doing, and it reached broader audiences as a result. And the Guild is helping people to understand that, and the filmmakers are actually making adjustments to remove what you call, what did you call it? I don't know, the flex of just stuff that's unnecessary to the story. That stuff's getting removed by choice because they can see what the audience actually wants, and it's not being decided by a few executives at Angel Studios. So thank you for that question. It's an excellent question.
All right, thank you. Artemis.
Hi, I'm so honored to be here with you. I've followed Angel Studios for years, and it's just so inspirational to me, because as a Baha'i, we believe that universal participation equals collective salvation. So, and so Angel Studios, I saw this and I was just like, this is incredible. So you've gained a lot of notoriety and attention, and deservedly so, for your unique model of crowdfunding. How do you see this evolving? What's the next step in crowdfunding this kind of endeavor?
So the way I see this evolving, let me show you one other slide here. This gets a little bit technical, but let's show you this slide. This is, on the left is the way that Hollywood has traditionally worked, where the industry takes a distribution fee, and they take out the costs and the marketing, and the filmmakers and their investors don't end up with anything. Like, we pay out checks every quarter to over 50% of the comedians who have come and performed at Dry Bar. And when we wrote those contracts, we did it with a longtime Hollywood attorney, and he looked at us shocked. He said, "You guys intend to pay these people, don't you?" And we said, "Of course, that's how we're going to succeed." And he says, "I've seen on one hand in 30 years the number of times I've seen somebody paid on the back end." Jim Caviezel, when he came to Angel, he had never been paid a back-end check, ever. And his first back-end checks ever were through Sound of Freedom, because we are aligned with the filmmakers. So there's a good analogy. Now, Netflix came along and they did the center thing, which is really important. They said to the investors, "We'll guarantee that you'll pay your production costs, and we'll give you a little bit extra. And then we'll take all the upside. We'll take out all your risk, but we'll take all the upside," which is a better model than what Hollywood had traditionally been doing, and Netflix has taken a leadership position. But the result of that is that Hollywood productions' budgets are rising. Things are getting more expensive, and it's harder and harder because the filmmakers know that they're never going to see any profits or any gains from what their work, so they need to charge by just producing. Now, Angel, so the popular model today is more like what NASA has done. And many governments also have a cost-plus model where they just do a budget based on the last year plus a little bit of margin, and that's the way that they determine what the budget is from year to year. That incentivizes increasing costs. SpaceX came in, and they, I don't know if you guys, anyone saw the flight this morning? Yes. Yeah, so they just landed a super booster on the same pad that it had originated on. So an engineering feat to beat all feats. But their incentives, they built them throughout all of SpaceX's structure to incentivize performance and reduce costs. So the whole idea of a reusable rocket came because that's the way they built the incentive structure at SpaceX. They're going to ship like 90% of payloads for governments, militaries, for companies throughout the world, because they have changed the fundamental economic model for getting this stuff up into space. And Angel, we're trying to do something similar, where we just take out the costs and the distribution expenses first, and then we share in what is actually earned with the filmmakers and their investors. And this aligns us so that we believe that we'll have the very best storytelling for the lowest cost, and that as that storytelling outperforms the rest of the market, well, what's going to happen? Like, that's where investment will go. Like, we can actually move the industry towards light by just, turning their model on its head. So, anyway, it's a very technical answer to the question, but I think that as soon as the industry realizes that they're behind the game and they're trying to copy what we're doing, then we've won. And that's great. Like, if we can move the whole industry that direction, yes. Yeah.
My last question. I came to your office, and my wife knows this. Many people who know me, they know this, that I have never been a big fan of Bitcoin. But I left your office feeling that I'm missing out. Just 1 minute.
So I mentioned this yesterday, and what I love about Baha'i is that it is all about unity, and that the world can come together in unity and love, and we can agree to operate together in a way that we have peace and not war. Bitcoin, at its fundamental level, provides that kind of an agreement between society. It has no borders. There's no way that people can take Bitcoin from you. And it is the hardest money to create in the world. It's harder to get a Bitcoin than it is to mine gold. And as I mentioned, gold has created some of the finest art ever. And fiat money, which is money that's created out of thin air, based on political winds, it has created the worst art in the world. And so Angel is tying our future, our balance is we're building a treasury seeking to empower the Guild for generations to come. So it's a for-profit endowment for the arts based on Bitcoin that seeks to build a financial foundation to fund the world's best filmmakers to produce stories that amplify light for generations to come. This is a way out of date, this slide, but we'll have exciting updates to come. But we think that by tying Angel to the hardest money in the world, we will see the very best filmmakers and the very best art that has ever been created.
Amazing.
Think of sharing what you know.